All right, everyone, welcome back to the Southern Utah Hockey Report. Gabe Goche here. As I've mentioned before, we are broadcasting live from JC Snow Park. I got my buddy Tommy Rupp. He's fixing his camera because we're getting live on X as well too. So hope everyone's doing well. Happy New Year, hockey fans. We're in it. We're in it. So things are going well. We're 2 games down. My team, the Flower Power, we're 2-0 right now. Not to brag, but I got a few goals.
Yeah.
Tommy, you guys are what, 1-0 right now?
We're 1-0. Yeah, I had a few goals myself, but saw you and Devin out there, and didn't look like it was easy for the other team. So Gabe's over here getting stat nights.
And speaking of which, you talked about Devin, so we're gonna try and get him on. Devin, I guess, plays pro roller hockey in France. He's an American. He's from Las Vegas, I believe, but we'll get him on and we'll talk because it's been fun playing with him out there. And Tommy, you got a good team going too. So you got Cam on your team. There's Devin right now. So Hey, Devin, come here, bud. Come on.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, before we get to Devin, talk about your team. You, Cam.
Yeah, no, I got me, Cam. I got Eddie. I got Dan.
Come on in.
Let's see, I got oh my gosh, Jeremy. Yeah, I always draw a blank on his name. That's Colin's dad. So sorry, Jeremy, on that one. That's on me. And then let's see, one more. I think that's it. Oh, I guess that would just be me.
Yeah, 6 guys.
No, but we got a pretty solid team. Obviously, I think Pink's the team to beat, but the Black Diamonds are coming for it. So
we're going to be after it. So Devin, I just met you, but my name's Gabe Goche.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. What's your last name?
Kiero.
Awesome. And where are you from?
Originally from the Bay Area, California, but played a lot of my formative hockey in.
You're a NorCal kid?
Yeah, NorCal kid.
I won't hold it against you. I'm a SoCal kid.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we wear North Faces better. But no, I played a lot of my formative hockey in Las Vegas.
Nice. Awesome. So, how old are you right now, and what age did you start playing?
24, and I started playing like travel ice about 9 years old.
Right on. So, playing in Vegas, did you play with the Storm, or how'd you grow up?
I played a little bit with Outlaws when I was younger, and mostly I played a lot of roller after that. Not too much ice hockey. I played more ice as I got older in like men's tournaments and stuff. Not so much like competitive travel. A lot of just roller hockey.
Was there a roller rink in Vegas? I know Adam Steele had one at one point. Did you play at that one?
No, I did. I played at Dan's rink, Las Vegas Roller Hockey Center.
Gotcha.
Steele's rink was up for about 6 months, so I made it over there just a handful of times.
Okay. Awesome, man. So I'm going to ask a question, and Tommy's going to jump in. But just to let you know, you're on the Southern Utah Hockey Report. Okay, we are live right now on Instagram Live. We're on X Live. Okay, and just a little bit about me. I'm a former professional hockey player. So I grew up in Southern California, played my junior hockey up in British Columbia, and then I played at the University of Denver, won 2 national championships there, and then I had the opportunity to play 7 years pro. One of those years was in Germany, and then throughout my career I played some roller hockey too. But we moved here in June. We're going to be growing hockey with Tommy, with everyone else here, and I just wanted to have you on because you're another piece of the puzzle that's going to continue to grow hockey in the Southwest. But my question to you is, how did you go from Vegas to France, and what skills did you work on the most?
Okay, so in November of last year, of 23, well, I guess 2 years ago now, in 23, I moved to Phoenix. And I moved to Phoenix for work-related stuff, and I started playing hockey out there. I got in contact with a bunch of the guys that I had already previously known, kind of, on a semi-basis, but more first-name basis.
Was it Nick Boyarsky?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Boyarsky, Marvin Simmons, Alex McDonald, all those guys.
Sweet.
So then I started talking with them, and they're like, hey, there's these leagues in France, you should go out there and play. And I had known about them because I knew a couple guys in Vegas who went out and played in those leagues. And then I was like, I would love to, but I don't know if they'd ever, do anything for me. And then Marvin Simmons was like, no, you're going to go out there. I'm going to tell people about you. So then he started talking to people, and then I got a team to message me. They were interested. We talked for a little bit, and then we came to an agreement, and I moved out there in August.
Awesome.
No, that's a crazy story, and what's really fun is to follow along on your social feed, because obviously going from Henderson, Nevada, all the way over to France is a little bit different. It looks like there, and so I kind of want to walk through your personal life there. Obviously, the hockey's fun and everything like that. What's the one surprising thing there in France that really caught you off guard? They're like, man, I knew what France was, but I didn't know it was like this.
The siestas, where things close between 2 and 6. That threw me for a loop. I was out there. And like first week I'm there, like I'm going to the chateaus and I'm going to the different cathedrals. I'm really into world history, so like I'm going to all these different historical spots. And once I finally settled down with that, we're in training camp and doing everything. There's one day I was like, man, I want to get some lunch and get a good meal, go to take a nap and get up for camp. I walk around the city at 2:30 and there is not a restaurant open. Not a single restaurant is open. It is closed. And I'm like, is it a holiday? And I start looking it up and I see on Google like, oh, open from 10 to 2 and then from 6 to 10. And I'm like, what's going on? So I messaged one of the guys who's from France on my team, like, yo, like, what is this? Like, oh yeah, everything closes in France for lunchtime. Like they all go home and do whatever and then they come back. And that threw me for a loop. I could not fathom that. And like the only thing open was McDonald's and felt like the US again. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this, but that was one of the biggest things.
That's awesome, man. I didn't even think about that, but it totally makes sense.
Yeah, and same thing in Germany. Like we went through the same thing. So when I was over there playing, our daughter was around 18 months, just under 2 years old, and my wife and I, when she was sick, it was almost like you had to be sick during certain hours to be seen. Like it was closed during certain hours because everyone just took a break. They'd go down to the downtown area. They have their beer, their bratwurst, their bread, and all that stuff. But yeah, it was a big culture shock, just the time difference, and then even too is just how the commuting was all like public transportation, or you're either walking or taking a bike. Was the same thing in France?
Yeah, so my city is incredibly small.
What city was that?
The city I live in is Bourges. It's almost dead center in the center of France. So like 2.5 hours from Paris, about 4 hours from Bordeaux. Like it's dead center. And it's so small that you can walk to pretty much every corner of the city. So I don't really need to take a bus too often, but there's a lot of trains. There's a lot of walking. They have like, in like San Francisco where they have those little e-bikes, like a bird bike. They have a lot of those in France as well. I have yet to use one of those, mostly because every time I get on one, I feel like I'm going to lose. Like I just avoid them. I just walk around everywhere. Yeah. But yeah, like that's actually been a nice thing, like to be able to walk everywhere I need to. I can walk to the grocery store. I can walk to the boulangerie. I can walk to the cathedral. I can walk to the little shops, the coffee shops I like to go to and stuff like that. So it's been awesome.
And I've just heard France is an all-time place, and it sounds like the people welcome you with open arms. So just talk about your teammates a little bit. How did they feel about an American coming over, playing on their teams, in their leagues, and everything like that? Do they haze you at all for it, or are they pretty cool with you?
They're cool. So my team has 6 what they call import players. So for the French league I play in, it's import players is anyone not from France. So we have a guy from Germany, we have a guy from Slovakia, and we have 4 Americans. So it's a good mix. So everyone's pretty cool about it. The town is great, awesome. Like I adore everything about it. Like it feels like Fantasyland at Disneyland. Like that's just what it feels like. It feels like this great little place. You go walk into the shops and like, me, I try to kind of dress more French, like turtlenecks and scarves and like the overcoats, just to like, so I don't seem like I'm, overtly American and being disrespectful. Yeah. And then like I try to speak French. French is not good. Like don't ask me to speak it. It's terrible. But most of the people are really cool about it. You try to speak to them. And if you don't know a word, they'll like help you through it. Like, oh, no, this is this word. Like this is how you say this. And then like most of them speak English too. So if you're really, really confused, tu parles anglais or whatever, and they'll usually get you by.
Like if you make an effort, right, to try, like they'll go, okay, you're an American, we'll help you out. But do you also understand, like, be able to listen to it and understand it more than you can speak it?
Yeah, for the most part. Like, especially with hockey things, like, especially when you're in practice all the time and you hear the same words over and over, you gotta connect the dots, like, oh, that's pass, that's shoot. Okay.
Are practices conducted in English or in French?
Half and half.
Half and half.
So the coach will usually explain the drill in French, and then he'll try to explain it in English as well. If you have questions, our coach is pretty good speaking English for the most part, so he'll be able to answer your questions. As the season progresses, it's more and more in French because he wants to kind of get into the tune of like learning French and that kind of thing. But in the beginning, it was mostly English. It's kind of trailed off.
Yeah. And so with the leagues in France, are you one of like 2 different leagues, or are there multiple leagues, or just one?
So the way the French Roller Federation works is you have your League Elite. Yep. And then national 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like U20, U17, stuff like that. Okay. Their youth ages are a little bit different than here. So I play in national 1, which is one below League Elite. Okay. The difference between the 2 leagues is like the Elite League is a faster pace, more controlled. National One is harder as far as like physicality play. Everyone skates harder. Like it's just a harder league. One of the big differences too is a lot of the League Elite rinks are bigger than the National One rink. So like my rink in France is 40 meters by 20 meters. Whoa. It's tiny. Tiny.
Break it down for Americans.
120 by about 50, 60 ish.
Thanks.
Yeah, tiny rinks. Some of the League Elite rinks are a little bit bigger. You'll run you in like 180 by 75, like a little bit bigger. So, but then some of them remain small. It just depends.
And what kind of support are you getting there? I mean, like as far as like walk me through what's kind of the atmosphere when you get into the rink as far as fans that support you, or do you get recognized out in public ever? Like, does anyone ever see you be like, hey, nice game last night or whatever, getting a croissant and somebody dapping you up or something like that?
It depends on where you go. So the coffee shop I go to a lot, that guy knows about the team. That guy kind of follows a little bit because we're in the daily paper after our games and stuff. And so, bon match, monsieur, that kind of stuff. But as far as getting recognized public, not too often. I mean, maybe a handful of times. Yeah. As far as the fans of the games, though, awesome. Yeah. Sells out every game. It's about 300-400 fans, I would say.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
and it's loud.
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of like soccer in the same way, where like banging on the drums, the air horns, the megaphones.
Do you have like the flags of the streamers going?
Yeah. It gets loud
and like Hogwarts in there.
Yeah, exactly. And it gets loud, and we have like a big pregame thing, like the lights go down and they shine the light on you when you come out of the rink and everything. And the building just goes nuts. Like it's loud. And as an opposing team, like I know guys that play in the league or play in the league, like our building's one of the hardest to play in because of how loud it is. Like even for us, like we'll be trying to talk about a face-off play and we can't even hear ourselves because they're just screaming and hollering and like they won. Especially like overtime situations. Oh, that building, you can't even hear yourself think. Like
that is so rad.
I love it, man. Same thing in Germany. Like you'd have the one section, there was no seats. It was all standing room, and then they just stand and chant and all that. And then after the game, if you won, you'd do a team song, and then you stand on the blue line, we'd do a dance, and then sing the team song. I didn't know what we were singing, but I was just mumbling words around and dancing around. But two questions for you again, Devin. One, the sport court. Are you guys playing on traditional sport court, or what floor do you guys play on?
Yeah, so we play on a older version of still mat. It's great floor though. It's nice and smooth. It's fast. It's grippy. Like no complaints about the floor at all. Some of the other rinks you play at, there's no like league standard in National One. There isn't league. National One, there's no league standard for the floor you have to have. So like we'll play on a rink that's wood, like skate rink kind of wood. Yeah, right. Some of them are closer to this. It just depends.
It has like a lacquer, like a wood lacquer.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And it depends too on like where you're at and how much money the teams have. Because like kind of like in baseball, rich teams and poor teams. So some teams have money where they buy a new floor every few years. Some teams kind of live with what they have because they share their arena with like a basketball stadium or something like that. So
how many games in a season?
About 16 to 20. It depends on. So the French league has this thing called Coupe de France. And Coupe de France is a tournament that all of the French leagues play in together. From National 4 to League Elite. Like you start, National 4 teams play, then whoever wins goes up, and then play National 3 teams and 2 teams and so on and so on. And if you get to the Final 4, you play in this arena in Paris called Carpentier. Those games will add games to your season, and then the playoffs are a best of 3 series. So they'll play it on multiple different days and everything. You never play 2 games in the same day, none of that stuff. And only on weekends.
Nice, you gotta love that. I'm always curious. So my favorite thing when I played Junior A is the random sponsors that we used to get. Like our biggest sponsor was Chex Mix, like the Rice Chex cereal. Yeah. So like we just got like 50 cases of Chex cereal, and I was always like, that's so random. But I'm sure everyone's kind of got those stores. What's the most random sponsor you got ever? Maybe that's the one that stands out, makes it a little bit more fun to play there.
There's one that I'll tell you about when the cameras come off. There's an interesting one. Other than
like a strip club?
A little bit worse than that. Yeah.
Worries.
So but we have this bar it's a pub. It's an Irish pub called O'Brien's, and that place sponsors us. I wouldn't say they're random, but definitely our best sponsor and definitely the most fun because after every game, everyone goes to this pub, and this pub goes absolutely bananas after every game. And then we have this other sponsor called Levrette Cafe. They're like a bar kind of talk thing. Like you can play board games there and have drinks or whatever. Very nice place. I love that place. We were always wondering because Levrette is on our butt. that's where the sponsor logo is on our pants.
Yeah.
And why is it on our butt? Like, well, it means, doggy style. That's what it means in French. So,
Like how the dogs do it.
Yes, like how the dogs do it. So that's just very poignant, and we didn't learn that until like a month ago. And we were like, we asked someone, like, why is this here? Like, all our other sponsors are on our shoulders or arms.
It could have been an ad for Pooper Scooper too.
It could have been. It very much could have been. But we learned that, and we all just started dying laughing. Like, all the French guys knew it. The French guys knew, and they just didn't tell us. They just kept it from us. They're like, oh, these Americans, like, they can't really speak that well yet. So they just kept it from us. It was like their own private joke. It was pretty funny.
That is funny. I love that, man. That's good. I want to hear about the other thing after.
Yeah.
But so your season, you said it's about 16, 20 games, and then the Coupe de France. When is the season? Like, is it fall? Is it now? Is it spring? When is it?
So it's end of September, beginning of October, depending on how weekends fall. And then our last regular season games are in March, and then playoffs start in April and can go as far as the first weekend in June, but usually about the last weekend or second to last weekend of May.
So do they cover like your flight there, and then do you have an apartment and a car and stuff?
So they cover my travel to and from, my housing, all my gear I need, and they cover like our travel for where we go. Like usually we take team minibuses and that kind of thing. As far as a car, they gave us a minibus that we can use because the house I live in has 5 of the 6 inputs. It's this big like 5-bedroom house. It's really nice. They gave us a car we can use. The car is a little interesting. It's an older car.
Is it a manual?
Yeah, it's a manual. And no, it's cool. Like I love driving manuals. This manual though, so you put it in the first gear, and the flywheel. It's a really old car. Flywheel's a little old, so sometimes it'll just shoot back into neutral without you hitting anything. So that's kind of fun. You gotta make sure you're always like jamming it up. Or some manual cars you can go from first to second and you hit the RPMs just right. This one, that doesn't matter. It could be 1, or it could be 1,000. It could be 3. It doesn't matter. Right to second. So it's made for some fun adventures. Especially if you want to mess with people on their phone. You just sort of, and everyone flies forward. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Nice, that's rad. Well, I think I'll finish off with this one. So, and it was crazy. So, like I said, I follow you on Instagram, and I saw this one story that you posted out there to the people, which I thought was pretty cool. That when you were growing up in Henderson or living where you were at the time, you kind of just had this epiphany late in the middle of the night that you're like, you know what? I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go play pro hockey. I think there's a lot of kids that are going to listen to this and kind of wonder the same thing or have the same epiphanies that come to them. Just walk us through that moment, what it meant to you, and now what has changed for you moving forward.
So for me, for more backstory on me, I had a job in amusement electronics, like salary manager, had a staff under me, it was a good job, quote unquote. And I realized one day that if I did this job for 40 years or, changed companies or did whatever, I would retire and never feel fulfilled. There would never be a moment where I would look back on my life and be like, I worked so hard, but why did I work that? Like, what is it for? What did I do? What did I accomplish? And I would always feel like this kind of nagging regret. And I decided one day that wasn't going to happen. And it didn't have to be pro hockey. It could have been anything. But I knew that I wanted to do something that was, somewhat unique. I wanted to do something that was for me, too. Like, I could look back and be, proud of. I could look back and say, no matter what I do the rest of my life, no one can take away that moment from me. And that's kind of how this whole thing started. So,
Oh, man, I love it. That's a great question, and we'll keep you on here just a couple more. But what advice would you give young kids that you've seen in your gameplay that is enhanced, and what have you worked on that kids should be working on?
Don't be robotic. And what I mean by that is if you're in ice travel or roller travel or whatever, and you're doing drills, a lot of times it's very easy to become kind of static. Okay, we're gonna have 2 guys start in the corner. They're gonna come down the rink. One guy's gonna get a pass. Turns into a 1-on-1 or 2-on-0 or whatever. And it's very easy to kind of get into this going through the motions mindset. Don't ever get to a point where you go to practice and you dread practice. Don't ever get to a point where you're in practice, you're like, I'm going to do the same things all the time, and it's just going to be the same drills, and I know how to do these or whatever. No, got to be creative. You have to think outside the box. Because if you are just a robotic hockey player, you will only go as far as the drills will take you. you have to become creative and you have to be able to think on your feet and make quick decisions, because those quick decisions are things that drills can't teach you. And those quick decisions will cause you to go from one level to the next level to the next level.
And that's why you see European teams beating Canadian teams.
Yeah,
Correct.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. 100%.
So, do they have an over 40 league in France, by chance?
Kind of. I would say National 3 is a lot of over 40 guys and everything like that.
So you're saying I have a chance?
I'm saying that you hit up the right people, there's definitely some chances.
Because I'd love to go
I
to
prefer
France.
we. If you guys want to go with we, have a good chance. I mean, if you're going France, I'm going France.
You're going package deal?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, let's go, dude. I mean, I'm gonna bring down your value quite a
Parlez-vous
bit. Yeah.
anglais? Sorry, my Paul is
Gabe's
is
like,
little-
I've got
little
2
bad.
national championships, NCAA D1. I'm like, yeah, me back in men's league, dude.
I think that would be
I
fun.
just flew out.
Actually,
there.
I would love that. Would be awesome to play some pro roller hockey.
Oh,
There was an
sick.
opportunity. There's a pro league in New Zealand or in Austria for ice, and this was when I was in my prime, and I had a chance to go over there, but I chose to stay and train because that was the in between year. So my first training camp with LA, I remember when I first walked in, Dean Lombardi was the GM, and I was a free agent, so I signed as a free agent, and he comes in, and I go to shake his hand, and instead of shaking my hand, he lifts my shirt up, and he sees my little pudge, right?
Oh,
I wasn't ripped.
Oh, yeah.
So he didn't shake my hand. So I'm like, okay, that's a sign. So the next year, right, that's when I stayed home, trained in New Hampshire with my wife, and we stayed at her sister's house. But that next year, I go to training camp. Lombardi's there again. He comes into the gym, lifts my shirt up, looks better, and he shook my hand.
No way.
So I'm like,
You
yeah.
remembered. Hey, man, that's
So-
you got to do the little things. Man,
I know.
If you want to go for it.
Do you have another question or?
Not off the top of
Not
my
off
head.
the, okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I
If you
do.
got one, go.
So as you are going back and forth from France to Henderson, are you seeing a lot of kids in France starting roller hockey? Do you see them start ice? What's the dynamic there?
So in my city, the rink that we play at is like almost attached to the school, like this big school. A lot of school kids play roller hockey in my city, and they're the best. They are the most well-behaved kids I have ever coached, ever. They know my English is terrible, and or my French, excuse me. And I tell you what, if I spoke French here in the States and my English was terrible, they would laugh me out the building. They'd be like, "Nah, get this guy out of here," But they're the best. So a lot of kids do that. Ice hockey is growing a lot in France. As far as the actual dynamics, I'm not too sure. I know a city nearby called Tours. Tours has a lot of ice hockey. They have a roller program and everything. A lot of the roller programs in France are ran by city governments. Some of them are private, but a lot of them are ran either jointly or by the city or whatever. So it's a lot more accessible for kids to play roller hockey in those parts of the country as well.
Awesome. Do you have one more?
Yeah, I got one more. Okay. You got one thing that you can take home from France to bring to America as far as food is concerned. What is that item that you're bringing home?
Pain chocolat.
Explain that.
Yeah,
for
what is that?
people that
Okay.
can't pronounce the word.
Okay.
Understand what it means.
So pain chocolat is basically like a croissant, but it's expanded croissant, and it's got chocolate swirls in it, and it's baked. Oh, and you bite into that, and heaven. Like you will immediately gain 5 pounds just by looking at it, and you will eat all of it. And you want to go back for more. And because they're so inexpensive, like €1. So, you're buying 10, 15, and you're like, oh, this is for the week. Nah, it's for the day. Don't kid yourself. It's for the day. Don't kid yourself. They're
How you
so
doing,
good.
Rich?
They're so good. So good.
That's rad, man.
I got a couple more, and a couple more, and then we'll get to it because we also, as we had our interview with UNLV ACHA men's hockey team, the head coaches, we were able to stick on with Nick Rabone, who I mentioned is a good buddy of mine, and we did a separate interview with him because he was actually a victim of the Route 91 concert shooting back in Las Vegas, October 1, 2017. And so we get to talk to him a little bit about that experience and then how he's recovered and continuing to coach. But Devin, your time in France, do you have opportunity to go explore the sites? Do you get to go to different countries? And what's the best site you've seen?
So I do have time because there are times within the season where you have off weekends for various things, whether it's French holidays or let's say that you're no longer in the Coupe de France, you'll have an off weekend that weekend, that kind of thing. So I do have places to see. Chateau Chambord in France, gorgeous. It took a couple hundred years to build.
Is that a castle?
It's a castle, yeah. It's unreal. The cathedral in my city was built in the 1300s, and it is one of the most magnificent things I have ever seen, and I probably go look at it every day. Like, it does not get old. And as far as, like, Paris is cool, for example, but, like, Paris feels a lot like a regular big city.
It's like New York, right? It's too touristy?
Yeah, it's too touristy. Like, a lot of the smaller chateaus and a lot of the smaller cathedrals are just, like, unbelievable.
Do you get to go ski?
I have not been skiing personally. That's for when I eventually go to Switzerland, which is on my bucket list of things to do. I'd love to go to Swiss.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time here.
Absolutely.
Before we get going, how can people follow you? How can they follow your journey? What's your Instagram? What's all your stuff? Because we also want to promote you. We want to promote the game. Because as you come back, we're going to be getting you out here to get more kids playing hockey too. So how can we follow you?
So my travel Instagram is called Dev Travels for Roller, and it just got a bunch of reels on there that I make. Actually, I have a couple I need to upload. I'm slacking, sorry guys. And then my other Instagram is called Devin is Based, and that one's a more personal one. That one still does a lot of hockey. They're just not in video form, they're more in picture form. Right
on. Devin Sacchero, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Devin Sacchero from Henderson, Nevada. Appreciate you joining the Southern Utah Hockey Report.
Absolutely, buddy.
We'll pass some more next game.
Yeah, for sure.
And best of luck, man. Best of luck. Keep raping it up, buddy. You're doing great. It's awesome to see.
Thank you. Awesome, man. That was sweet, man. And he talked a lot about just the creativity of playing hockey, Tommy. And those are a lot of things, like I said, and not jokingly, but it's true. Is Europe has a better skill set right now that they've proven it against Team Canada in the World Juniors, but also just the way that they play the game. You also see in the draft picks too. But what did you take away from that interview? Like what hit home for you there?
Well, I mean, I think people underestimate the amount of luck that you do need in order to create a career for yourself in this sport. But that being said, the harder you work, the more luck that gets created for you. And I mean, like his story goes, like Devin's story goes. I mean, he's sitting there in the middle of the night, playing some music, and all of a sudden just knows, he's like, all right, I'm going to go be a pro hockey player. And he decided to put in the work. And, I've been fortunate enough to know Devin here for, I think, about 2.5 years now. I actually met him playing ball hockey down there against the Las Vegas Shiners. Good ball hockey team that they have down in there that plays in the National Ball Hockey League.
Nice.
And he was reffing games. He helps with he subs in as a goalie every now and again. He's even driven up from Vegas to our rink here that we're at right now at JC Snow Park, and he's reffed games for us. I mean, when you're driving 2
That's dedication,
hours,
man.
Yeah, I mean, he just cares. And we even asked him, I'm like, what makes you want to do it? He's like, you guys are just doing it the right way. So again, we always talk hockey is community. Community is hockey. You need them both to survive and be successful. And Devin's work proves that, and makes me proud to know him.
Absolutely. And another example of that is, like I mentioned, is in our interview previously with UNLV is Nick Rabone. And same thing, him and Greener, they talked about just going to the rink, just asking questions like, what do we do here? What's a breakout? Like, how do we play a PP? What's a penalty kill? What do all those things look like? And it comes to fruition. Like you do the things, you interact, you learn. And that's the thing too, is learning from experience, is going out and doing it speaks volumes to your character, but also to your dedication and really just your admiration to getting things done. But Nick, as I mentioned, was shot during the Route 91 festival, October 1, 2017. Jason Aldean was on stage for that one, and we get to talk to him about just that night, that experience, the chaos, and then just the fight for survival.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, just the perseverance to come back to the rink and continue to coach, where, he just, it was just amazing, man. Like he just resilience of just pushing through. And I know that interview was a big one, but we have that coming up. So that's going to be released tomorrow, Sunday. So we'll be putting that up on the YouTube. We'll put the Instagram there, and then also throw it on X as well. But we got a couple more games coming up, Tommy. How how's the tournament going so far? This is what, the third year they've been doing it?
Yeah, I believe it's the third year they've been doing this. They always do one right around New Year's. It's put on by Brandon Ennan. Douglas Reed helps out with that too, and even we got Prestige Woodworks that's sponsored, which that's a company owned by Adam Allen, who's also in our Red Rock hockey program.
Unfortunately, he's not here.
Right, he's off having a kid or something.
Yeah,
I guess.
who does that, man?
What is funny though is he still signed up for the tournament, knowing when his kid was going to be due.
That's dedication.
That is dedication, dude. Red Rock hockey, man. We're better than pregnancy sometimes.
Yeah,
I guess.
I love it. I love it. And so with Red Rock hockey too, we got the spring season coming up. I know we just ended the early bird.
Yep.
So I missed it. What, December 31st was the
Correct.
So if you can't get the early bird, you can still sign up.
Yep.
And still Red Rock hockey. How are we looking for signups? Or
We're looking great in the kids divisions. I'll say this: our adult numbers. We're having a harder time picking up the recruiting on the adults. And so if you're someone who wants to come and play, like, please sign up. Again, if you need a stick to even borrow, I'm more than willing. I've got a lot of them that are extra ones. I'd be more than happy to let you borrow it. Again, if you can't skate, don't worry about it. You can play on foot, vice versa. And we have a tier 1 and a tier 2. So what's nice about that is you're not just throwing yourself in with everyone who's in tier 1, not learning anything. You're kind of getting frustrated with it. We have tier 2 to cater to those players as well, because hockey's for everyone, and we want to include everyone in Red Rock hockey. We have about, I want to say, 2 weeks left to sign up, something like that. I mean, the days are just flying by here. So make sure you head on over to redrockhockey.com, get signed up for that, and also be following us on social media pages. I've got some new introduction to hockey videos that I'll be dropping, just things like how to measure where to cut your stick, how to put on a helmet, where a kid that's learning how to hold a stick can put their hands, everything like that. So back to the basics.
Yeah, and you've been doing videos, or you started doing those last summer too, which were awesome. You talked about the equipment. All you need to do is really get down here. We told you guys we have the helmets. Corey's done an amazing job gathering those sticks. We get those as well too. And then you talked about the tiering, and this is where we need more people, because as we grow and as you come out and learn, you're going to get better. And so we need more people to come out to boost those tiers. And so if you're new, you really don't have to worry about playing against guys like myself or guys like Tommy,
right?
Because we have enough of that tier 1 group. We need the tier 2s to start coming in and start expanding as well too.
Well, and what the coolest part about it too is I can't tell you how many of our tier 2 players are now playing in tier 1.
That's what I mean.
Because the development has already been there, and the development's been quick too. There's a lot of guys that are out here that they may have struggled skating, or they struggled holding the stick and what to do, and they're some of our best players in our league now, just because something clicked. They developed a little bit. They got more confidence, and now they're X factors in our game. And that's what's really cool to see is, this is a program you can grow with. You don't have to just throw yourself into it. We're all a family here. We're all a big community, and we'd love to have you. So please, by all means, head on over to redrockhockey.com, get signed up, follow us on social media so you can look at my ugly mug a little bit more. And we would love to have you. And if anyone has any questions too, feel free to drop them in the comments. We'll help anyone who wants to get into this great sport.
And with that too is, as we continue to grow, there's going to be more opportunities for your skill advancement. And that's another thing too, is if we get the signups, now we can start putting on little clinics, and then people start to go, hey, how do I stick handle, or how do I take a shot? All of those things. Right. And so then we can start putting on those clinics where I believe we are going to be doing some form of clinics, you and I, as the spring gets going and we're able to get the park. But look for those as G28 Athletics Southern Utah Hockey Report. We're going to be putting on some camps, introductory camps, where you can just come out and we'll be focusing in on certain drill specifics, where if it's shooting, we're going to be doing shooting specifics. Or like Tommy said, how do you tie your skates? How do you buckle a helmet?
Right.
How do you tape a stick?
Right.
All of those little things we are going to be providing, because that's why, we started this. And that's why we're here is to educate, to also entertain and have fun, because the game is so much fun. It's a lot of excitement. It's fast paced. You can see behind us, the games are going on right now. And you talked about too, just the players getting better. And I know one specifically, because I've only been here since June, okay? Yeah. And I just came to the rink one night and kind of watched and all this stuff. But there's a guy that's on your team, Eddie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what? That guy, from the time I came here in June, he was on the tier 2. But now he's putting up some good numbers in the tier 2, and then he also is performing really well. But that's the stuff like we like to see. Ryan McAteer is another guy.
Right.
Cam Wolfslager. Well, Cam Wolfslager. Okay, we're gonna get on Cam Wolfslager because two things. One, we're gonna try and get a video of this Sharks fan wearing the most ridiculous bubble.
Oh,
like
looks like Halo.
And he has a GoPro. But that's the cool part. He has a GoPro. But Cam Wolfslager, he's an awesome dude. He's been one of our most avid watchers, listeners.
Yep.
He provides feedback. He actually suggested we should come out live and do this. So again, Cam, thank you for the suggestion because it's getting the word out. It's getting more hockey out. But as we continue to talk, we talk more hockey. We had Devin, which is just amazing, and then Dougie Reed. He's on my team.
Yep.
His brother Rob flew in for this from Pennsylvania.
Right.
We're gonna get him on too. So we're gonna play a game, and I think we'll try and come back on because Rob Reed, Doug's brother, works for Penn State Athletics.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, man. So he is an off-ice official for Penn State hockey. And he does the video review, he'll get into that too, but flew in from Pennsylvania because he heard about this tournament and he knew that it was going to be a fun time, and plus he got to see his brother Doug. But
Absolutely.
we'll get Rob Reed on here too and talk to him. Actually, do you know what? If you can just stall for like good 5 minutes, I'll go get Rob and then we'll get him on here.
Okay? All right, yeah. So much empty space here, just filling it. Well, I'll just give you a little update here, especially Utah Hockey Club. If you guys aren't following us on X at the Southern Utah Hockey Report, go over to X, follow that account. You'll see me on there a lot. I do a lot of Tommy's Thoughts, which is a new segment on X where I break down the games between the Utah Hockey Club and the Vegas Golden Knights. So it's something that you guys should be following. If you're not already, feel free to tune into that. So,
all right.
We got the man, the myth.
As I mentioned, we got Rob Reed here. And Rob, we kind of prefaced you before, but first, welcome to the Southern Utah Hockey Report. I'm Gabe Goche, that's Tommy Rupp, and we're talking hockey. So if you're not familiar, we started this about 11 weeks ago, where we give updates on Utah Hockey Club, we give updates on Vegas Golden Knights, we talk about local hockey. So much that we heard that you heard that this was a big event that you couldn't miss it. Is that correct?
That's right. I came all the way out here from Pennsylvania just for this tournament this weekend.
It's
a part of the podcast.
I love it. It's amazing. It's amazing because I'm so honored that when Doug texted me, he goes, "My brother came out for this tournament and he wants to talk hockey with you."
Yeah.
I said, "Man, I love it. I'm excited." So let's talk hockey.
All right.
Doug mentioned that you're working in hockey. So what do you do, and what team do you work for?
So I'm an off-ice official for the Big Ten, and I work for Penn State at Penn State Hockey. So both men's and women's. The off-ice officials are the penalty box guys, the scorekeeper, the clock, and the replay booth. And we cycle through those. Mostly I end up on the scoreboard, which is the best seat in the house. It's literally the only seat that's center ice on the glass, and they actually pay me. So it's crazy.
That's all. How long have you been doing that?
About 5 years now.
Right on. How did you get started, and what's been your biggest moment so far?
So I got started because the guy that runs the group of off-ice officials is the guy that refs all our ice league games at Pagula, and it was kind of funny how they wrote me into it. So one of my teammates, that does this also, I was just asking him, I asked him some questions about it, and the next thing I know, the head of the guy is like, "Oh, hey, send your resume here," and so he had just told the boss, "Hey, this guy wants in," and I was in. I was just asking questions, and the next thing I know, I'm wearing a suit and I'm there on the ice. It was great. And the coolest thing I've done, so I think it was 2022, Penn State at the Pagula Ice Arena, we hosted the women's Frozen Four. Okay. So we got to work that. That was pretty cool. Unfortunately, Ohio State won that year. But.
No, that's awesome. And actually, Penn State was one of those programs that moved up to D1. They were kind of the first big school to make a splash. You hadn't heard of it too much. And I remember as a kid growing up, that I remember it's like, oh, Penn State's going D1. Penn State's going D1. Obviously, with a lot of hockey, it's a lot of marketing, right? And that's going to lead into recruiting and how you're going to land these guys that are out there, especially with the transfer portal now, and now the rules and regulations being shaken up a little bit with college eligibility and major junior hockey. So I guess if you were going to make an elevator pitch to me, I'm not saying I could ever make your D1 program, but if you were going to make an elevator pitch to a kid who's on the fence about Penn State right now, who's considering it, what would you tell them to bring them over to your program?
Oh man, so I haven't been to a lot of other college hockey rinks, but the refs tell us we have the nicest arena. It's only about 10 years old now because that's all the longer we've had D1, and we fill it almost every night. It's 6,000 plus, and it's crazy loud. It is just a great atmosphere for hockey. It's a blast, and I mean everybody there that's involved in hockey just loves it. I mean, you will be. It's not as big as, Penn State football. We don't get 100,000 people. But everybody there that knows about hockey loves hockey.
Well, and a lot of times, it is that environment that sells it. Sometimes even if it's a little bit more intimate, I almost prefer rinks like that. Like I've been to Denver University's rink, and it, the old wooden barn kind of style look and everything like that. There's something about it. It feels like a church or something like that. When I watch the Penn State games and those whiteouts that all the students bring and stuff like that, like you look at that and it's like, man, if that doesn't get you fired up to play here every single night, I don't know what will, man. So I like that it's a little bit more intimate.
It is, and as you mentioned, they went from club hockey or ACHA to D1. Guy Godowski, this is where again and I was talking to you before a game, and Tommy, you didn't know this, but there's just so many connections that I have, and I'm going to tell this story because the reason I went to Vegas was because of Kirk Brooks.
Okay.
Kirk Brooks owned the USHL Tri-City Storm.
Okay.
So his son at the time, Kenny Brooks, was playing for the Tri-City Storm in the USHL. So I went to Vegas, and I was running the Storm program. And then as Kenny was playing junior, Penn State gets to go D1. Kenny Brooks was one of those players on the team.
No way.
When Penn State was first Division I team. So I got to sit in the room with Kirk and talk about, just going from the USHL to Penn State, and then Kenny went and played a little bit in the East Coast League. But that was really cool to see because it's the same thing that UNLV's doing it. ASU's already done it. Robert Morris has been doing it. So my question to you, Rob, is with all the players that have gone through the program, which player has been your most favorite to watch, and who has been like the biggest fan favorite?
Fan favorites. There's been a few. We had a 6'7" Russian guy, Pavlicek, a couple of years back, and the fans absolutely loved him. Right now, Danny Geniev, he's the shortest guy in Division I hockey at 5'4", and he's got the smoothest hands and the crazy skating ability. If he was bigger, I think he'd be an NHL prospect. But those two are probably the fan favorites that I've seen. My favorite is a current player, the sophomore right now, Aiden Fink. He's from Calgary. He was a late draft pick of the Predators, but every time he's on the ice, man, he is going so fast. I really feel like he's the best guy I've seen play. On the Penn State side, I mean, I've seen Quinn Hughes for Michigan. I've seen Logan Cooley and Adam Fantilli playing, the other Big Ten teams. Penn State hasn't anybody, drafted at the top of the first round, but I think Aiden Fink's got a great future. His motor never stops. It's crazy. He's my favorite to watch.
Awesome. Tommy, go one question, and then I'll go one more, and then we got to get ready for a game.
Yeah, no. So my last question here. I mean, obviously, it takes a village to make hockey work, right? And we talk about community a lot on this program, especially with what we're doing here in Red Rock Hockey and everything like that. By you doing the job that you do, people don't realize how important and how much pressure comes along with something like running a scoreboard or anything like that, because there are big moments that can happen, and if you're not on your game, all the crowd's going to let you know, or someone's going to start speculating before you know it, like a clip goes viral. Do you have any of those one-off kind of funny stories where you're like, yeah, this one game, something happened, and I was just like, oh, man.
I mean, I do, but I might get in trouble. Because I personally made
You don't have to throw names out.
No, it was me.
Oh, was it start the clock?
I won't be any specific about a certain game or anything like that, but there was a time when there was so much going on, amount of penalties, and the clock didn't stop when we were trying to fix the clock at the same time, that a penalty happened, a player came in the box, and on the bench, we didn't realize it, and the refs didn't realize we didn't get it on the board. And they started the power play, and about 10 seconds into the penalty, we realized there's an extra guy in the box. And we were just like, what do we do? 5 seconds later, they scored, so the guy went out. And so it was no harm, no foul. But that one could have been really ugly.
That's good. And I thought you were going to get to the part where you had to get another sheet of paper and start writing the guys,
seriously,
with the amount of penalties and all that stuff. But last question, as we talked about players, and you mentioned being in the Big Ten, there's some good teams in the Big Ten, and there's some good players that are coming from those teams.
Yeah.
Who's been the best player you've seen come through Penn State? Not at Penn State, but played against Penn State.
I guess I'd have to say Quinn Hughes. You could see he was just better than everybody else.
What was it? His skating? Was it his just
mostly skating? He was just so fast. He was so smooth, so fast. Like he was skating at a different level than everybody else. Yeah, definitely.
Right on, Rob.
That's awesome.
Thank you for taking the time to come out to St. George here and see your brother Doug and playing this tournament. But again, thank you for jumping on the podcast.
Absolutely, and thank you for all you do for the sport.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Cool, man. Yeah.
So do you have like an Instagram, like how to time keep or like all that stuff?
No, nothing like that.
No timekeeping content.
No.
Maybe you should start start one, right? It's just like, this is how you run the clock, and then we can send it off to all the youth hockey teams, because the youth hockey teams have their tournaments, right?
Right. Yeah.
And all that stuff, and like kind of do a how-to.
I think everyone would actually tune in.
I'll have to think about that. If I do get something started, I'll let you guys know so you can.
Well, yeah, there you go. It's like those, those like, hey, follow me as I'm a social media photographer, and she goes down to the ice and like takes pictures of during like warm ups and stuff. You could probably get some pretty good behind the scenes action that would definitely get some eyes on some content. So we'll blow that up for you for sure.
Right on. Thanks, Rob. Okay, we'll see you out there.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Tommy, another home run.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome, man. Just the people that come through the hockey world and who we fortunately get to know. Like, that's the cool part is getting to know all these people and having those friendships and relationships. So
no, absolutely. Everyone has a story.
1 minute till the game is over. We just got the 1 minute call.
Everyone has a story. I think everyone deserves to share their story, and it just goes to show you how different all those stories are and how well they intersect together and actually create this positive momentum. So it's something truly special here, and this is what we're building. This is our community. Welcome to our church, and it helps with viewers like you, so we appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. As we again just impromptu, we're doing it live.
We're doing it live.
We had Devin Sicero, we had Rob Reed on there, and then as I mentioned, we're going to be putting our interview with Nick Rabone tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the channel, subscribe, follow, share, and if you guys want to get your kids, if you want to get yourself in hockey, go to redrockhockey.com. I'm Gabe Goche. Tommy Rupp, thanks for watching.
See you at the rink. I don't want to fall down on live TV.